Coogan. It is my honour every year to host this event, which started very, very small and has turned into an important part of the summer. We gather here towards the end of June every year to remember those people, those women, those babies, 923. We gather to remember them, to think about them. We like to think that, and I'll explain why in a minute, we like to think that we're standing by their headstone. This structure behind me has become associated with a headstone for them, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But we are delighted to be joined in music today by one of Cork's very, very finest, and she's back home because we asked her to come and sing for us. Would you welcome, please, to open our proceedings, Camille O'Sullivan.
Thank you so much, PJ, and it's my absolute honour to be here today. And just all these songs are sent with complete love. Come sail your ships around me and burn your bridges down. We make a little history, baby, every time you come around. Come lose your dogs upon me and let your hair hang down. You are a little mystery to me. Every time you come around, we talked about it all night long. We defined our moral ground. When I crawl into your arms, everything comes tumbling down. Come sail your ships around me and burn your bridges down. We make a little history, baby, every time you come around. Come lose your dogs upon me and let your hair hang down. You are a little mystery to me every time you come around. It's phasing, so something strange is happening. Music, I don't know what it is, but I know it's doing its own thing, like Cork people do. Come sail your ships around me and burn your bridges down. We make a little history, baby, every time you come around. Come sail your ships around me and you. Thank you so much. That was unusual, so I give you my love, 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 love.
Thanks, Emil. That developed a mind of its own halfway through, but like a true pro, she stays with it. Good afternoon and welcome. Just before we get underway, the little bit of housekeeping. There is a lodge at the top of the laneway there. We would ask you not to go approach the lodge, not to look into, and not indeed to go approaching any of the windows in the building as you go along, because there are people working here. Indeed, there are some people living here. So they're not separate. They're separate from our event. So please don't interrupt their day. I said about the structure behind me known as the Folly, which has become an unofficial headstone. There's a great relationship between this event and the office of the Lord Mayor of Cork, for the simple reason that a number of years ago, bulldozers arrived to pull this down, and they got it half down to about where you see the colour change. And people down to visit the Folly, spotted what was going on, made contact with me, made contact with others. And at the time, the Lord Mayor of Cork was Kieran McCarthy, a well-known historian. And a couple of other councillors also made contact with us. But Kieran rang me, the Lord Mayor, and he said, "What's going on down there?" I said, "I don't know. They just started pulling it down." He said, "All right, up with this, we will not put." Not only did they get it stopped, but we got it rebuilt, stone by stone by stone, by the office of the Lord Mayor and Cork City Council, and we'll be grateful to them forever for that. Our own Lord Mayor is with us, our Lord Mayor for today, newly elected as well. One of his first official roles, and certainly he's looking forward to being down here to Bessboro. Melton, please. Councillor Damien Boyle.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. It's fine. You're fine. I don't think I'm that much taller than your community. I'd love me.
Sorry.
So, thank you, Carmel, and the Bessboro Mother and Baby Home Support Group for the invitation to be here today. It's an honour to attend as Lord Mayor, but it's also a deeply sobering experience. We gather today for one simple but profound reason: to remember, to acknowledge lives that were too often overlooked, and to ensure that those lives are never forgotten. Remember the mothers, women who carried burdens that no one should have had to bear. Many faced loneliness, stigma, and unimaginable hardship. Remember the 923 children who died. Every one of them was a child that mattered. Every one deserved dignity in life and deserves dignity in memory. As a society, we cannot change what happened, but we can change how we respond. We need to respond with honesty, with compassion, and with a commitment that difficult chapters of our history are neither ignored nor forgotten. A place like Bessboro should encourage reflection. We need to reflect on our past. We need to reflect on how we treat the most vulnerable. And we need reflection on the kind of society we want to continue to build. I thank the survivors and their families. It takes enormous courage to share experiences and continue to seek truth and recognition. And your determination has ensured that these stories have been heard. To finish, may the mothers rest in peace. May the children rest in peace. And may their memory continue to guide us to a more compassionate, understanding, and humane Ireland. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Now, a few years ago, it was decided there was an organization called Know My Own. It's still in existence, and it was from that organization that this gathering came. And a woman who has driven it for all those years, and no doubt she's going to thank everybody else besides, and that's what she always does. But this simply would not exist without Carmel Cantor.
Lord Mayor, Lady Mayoress, public representatives, ladies and gentlemen. Before we turn to the heart of today's gathering, I want to share an update on what has unfolded over the past year. A year that has brought deep turmoil for our group and for the Save Bessboro campaign. Just a few days before last Christmas, the developers quietly placed their planning notice for phase 1 of a 3-phase development. Between Christmas, the New Year and the school holidays, it slipped under the radar for many. In the end, only 2 objections were lodged with Cork City Council, one from myself on behalf of the Bessboro group and one from Councillor Peter Horgan. I know immediately that something was wrong. We have always had tremendous support from the public and from our public representatives, especially here in Cork. Only last year, the Taoiseach himself attended this commemoration, so when the planning notice went unnoticed, it was clear that the timing was no accident. At the end of February, Cork City Council granted permission for 140 apartments. The decision stunned us all, particularly because this same development has previously been refused. And we know what this means. If this first phase proceeds, the others will follow. The approval for the remaining phases will happen. The landscape of Bessboro, the last intact grounds of this institution, will become permanently destroyed. We do not oppose this so passionately. Why do we oppose this so passionately? Because 923 children born in Bessboro died, including my brother William, because 859 of those children have no burial record at all, because 761 of those children, mostly under the age of 1, died here on these grounds, and because to this day there has never been an exhaustive investigation to determine where they are buried. We have spoken to witnesses who saw burials take place. We know children were laid to rest here, but there is no single identified burial place. The land itself holds the truth. These buildings, these fields, they hold the stories, the secrets, and the remains of our family members. This is also the place where nearly 19,000 women, girls, and children passed through, many subjected to harsh and cruel treatment. Most were separated from their babies, even when the mothers were fully capable of caring for them. After the planning decision was made, we quickly went into action. We held a protest and other events at the gates. We contacted experts to help us with our appeal and academics who wrote a detailed letter supporting it. At the same time, the CLAN project, led by Claire McGettrick, coordinated the collection of observations from survivors and affected families. A total of 159 people sent in observations, which Claire submitted together under one consolidated submission. The Planning Authority have confirmed that every one of those observations will be considered in their final decision. Many others also made observations. We now await for Armed Commission Planola's decision on the 9th of July. Seeking to protect the place where so many children disappeared, where the majority are likely buried, should not be political. It is a matter of basic humanity. Every person should want dignity, recognition, and truth for the women and children who died here. Now I want to bring us back to why we are gathered here. We are gathered here to remember the children whose names are inscribed on the folly. We are here to remember the women who died. I ask you, while you are here, to take a look and read those names. One of the most moving moments of this year was when Councillor Noel Brown brought us together to read the names of the deceased children at the gates of Bessboro. One by one, voice by voice, we honoured each child as an individual, not as a statistic, not a line in a report, but a child who lived, who mattered, and who deserved to be remembered, including Philip Martin Casey, who died on the 17th of April 1987, whose name was missed during that reading. I also want to pay tribute to one of our Bessboro mothers, Maureen Casey, who passed away about a month ago. She and her daughter travel from London every year to attend this commemoration. We miss her deeply, and today we remember her and her little boy who died here in 1961. I now ask you to join me in a 1-minute silence to remember them. Thank you.
Thanks, Carmel. And that's, you'll see the names. I was present for the reading of those names. That is why we now look upon this as an unofficial headstone for those 923 children. And every time we look at it, we think of them. When we come here every June, we think of them. 1948, Geraldine Radcliffe was born here in Bessboro, and she's here today to tell her story. Geraldine.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I have to tell you, I'm extremely nervous because I'm not used to speaking like this. So if I stop and lose my place, please forgive me. My name is Virginia Geraldine Radcliffe. I'm 78 years old, going 79, and I'm from Bolton in Lancashire. Most people know me as Jerry, but I usually answer to everything. I've had different names. How did I get to Bolton, you may ask? Well, here's my story. Back on the 29th of February 1948, I was born with the name Mary Gerard Coffey here in Bessboro Mother and Baby Home. My mother, Mary Teresa Coffey, at the age of 21, was sent here most probably by her family. After giving birth, she was placed in the nuns' quarters to do tasks such as cleaning, cooking, washing, and whenever required, looking after the babies. From birth to about 5 years old, I was placed in another part of the home with other babies and children. As being a young child, I really am unaware of having access or spending any time with my mother, which really does affect me even to this day because I miss that mother and child bond. One memory I do have, and I think it's quite funny in the end, I do have is when I was sleeping in the dormitory with other children, is seeing our beds lined up in rows. At this stage, my young mind seems to think that these nuns have no legs, they just float. My bed was under a nightlight, and still today I cannot sleep without a light on. Outdoor play was also not much fun when all of us were placed in large pens, of which I refer to now as cattle pens. It's the only way I can describe it. I was brought over on the ferry with my mother and other children and taken to a convent in Bolton around the age... I was brought over on the ferry with my mother and other children and taken to a convent in Bolton around the year 1952 to 1953. I was fostered to a family who had already got two sons who were quite a lot older than myself. My mother was placed in the convent in Bolton to work unpaid for food and board for a local doctor and given the duties of cleaning and caring for the doctor's own children. My foster parents probably did their best for me, but they were a lot older, and they did not want me to have this Irish accent that I'd arrived with. It didn't fit in with them. So they duly marched me off to elocution lessons to get rid of my Irish accent. During this time, Mary Teresa, my birth mother, was allowed to visit me for 1 hour a week on a Wednesday. I was never told that she was my mother. I just knew this lady turned up and took me out. And if I was lucky, I got an ice cream. Following being fostered by the family, I was then adopted in 1954, aged about 6 years old. I do not recall any more visits from Mary Teresa after this, and I was told by a gentleman who, strangely enough, was one of the lads that Mary Teresa had looked after. And he said that the nuns just moved her one night from the convent and they never saw her again, and I never saw her again. Well, my birthdays came and Christmas came, and each Christmas and birthday I received a large box of chocolates, but I was never told who they came from. I was told years later by my brother that Mary Teresa used to send me these along with a card. I never got the card. So yes, thank you, Mary Teresa. It showed that you still was trying to look to have contact with me, as this has been confirmed later on in my life. At 10 years old, a family member told me I was not a blood relative of the family. Not understanding and being upset about this, I ran home and asked my adoptive mother, was this true? She then told me that my birth mother had said she didn't want me. I was baggage in her new life. And her husband didn't want me. I can remember saying, baggage, what's that? And she said, you were no longer wanted, as she'd met somebody and started a new life. I've since found out that this was not true, thanks to my new sisters. And they came and Mary Teresa and her husband had come to look for me, but they was turned away. So over the years, I've been researching and joining various online groups to trace more of the missing parts of my life, which I always refer to as a jigsaw puzzle with a piece missing. A few years later, I was told Mary Teresa had passed away by my adopted mother. So I just got on with my life, I suppose. At 17-year-olds, I met the man of my dreams, my future husband, Thomas Jeffrey Ratcliffe, who became my rock and my healer, a shoulder to cry on, and my biggest supporter in helping to find this missing piece. We became man and wife when I was 19-year-old, and we have 2 beautiful boys. And wanting to give another child a loving home, we adopted our beautiful daughter. For many years, we drove to Ireland in search of this missing piece, visiting a local church only to be informed of all the records of the mother and baby home had been destroyed or they'd been burnt. Hence, we presumed it was a wasted visit and we returned home. Our 3 children blessed us over the years with 10 grandchildren, and myself and my Jeff doted on these. We spent a wonderful 58 years of marriage together until his passing in 2024. Unfortunately, didn't get to meet his great-grandson. Well, the dreaded first Christmas came without him, and I was not looking forward to the festivities. And my daughter, God bless her, was always looking for meaningful gifts. My gifts this year was an Ancestry DNA kit. I actually cried when I opened it. Could this help me to find my missing piece? Excitedly, I sent the kit off and I waited impatiently for any results. April the 1st came, 2025. Bearing in mind this is April Fool's Day. I received a message from a lady called Laura who informed me that she actually was my niece. Her mother Trish was my half-sister, along with her Auntie June, my other half-sister, and Stephen, my half-brother. Well, yes, was this another false hope or was it an April Fool? Was this true? I must admit I was really excited. So I reached out to my new family, who my daughter-in-law arranged a Zoom call for us to clarify with Trish and June. We then spoke to each other, and then a few weeks later we went to meet them, and I'm so glad we did. The love and the outpouring of what has really helped me to heal. So I'd like to thank you, Trish and June, and who are here today supporting me. Thank you for looking for me. Thank you for helping me. And thank you to my daughter for getting the DNA kit, and for Trish's daughter, Laura. So yes, it was the missing piece, and it's finally finding its place in the jigsaw. Following conversations, visits up and down the country, and meeting and confirming that I actually was being searched for by Mary Teresa and her husband Peter, that we met. They took me to Mary Teresa's grave and where she lived. In 1958, if you remember, I was told that my mother had died. In 2011, she actually did die, so I missed all that time looking for her. I was kindly taken to there. So when I was fostered, and eventually I met my new cousins from 73 years ago, I became very close to them. They are so excited about me being here today, and I'm so blessed to have them in my life. I am now blessed to have my new family as well. And Al, I've not mentioned you, I do apologise. And if I can just give you a little quote from Trish's son. It was his birthday, and it was the first birthday that I'd known it was his. And I remember putting on Facebook, "Happy birthday," and and I said, "Happy birthday from your newfound auntie." And he said, "You're not newfound. You've always been there. It's just that we've only just met." So yes, I'd like to thank you all for listening to me. I hope it's made a bit of sense. And I do truly hope that you, whoever's here, can find your own missing piece. Thank you.
Geraldine, thank you. Unfortunately, I hope all you down the back are hearing us. I'm understanding that things have been low for people. What's happening, I think, is the wind is not my friend this afternoon. It's blowing a lot of the sound straight back at us, so I've got to turn up about as high as I can. We've got some space towards the front if you want to move forward to try and hear things a little bit better. And we just asked our contributors to maybe stay as close to the microphone as you can. I can do many, many things, but I can't manage the wind, unfortunately. We have a little bit of a poem next, and it's from Joy Kelly O'Regan.
For Maureen, she walked with quiet courage, a mother shaped by love and loss, carrying the memory of her only son, a full-term baby, perfect and sleeping, gone before she ever heard him cry. Maureen was a lady in every way, grace in her voice, strength in her step, kindness in the way she held the stories of other mothers close to her heart. She stood with her Bessboro family year after year, a steady pace, a gentle friend, a woman who understood the weight and the worth of every child who never came home. Now we hold her in return. We remember her laughter, her dignity, the love she carries for her son all the days of her life. May she rest where sorrow cannot reach her, reunited with the baby she longed for, held in peace she deserves, and may her memory stay with us, soft as a blessing, strong as a mother's love, forever part of Bessboro's story.
Thank you, Joy. Our next speaker was the woman who organised the reading of the names at the front gate a few weeks back. And it was one of the most moving things in all the years that we're doing events here at Bessboro. This was one of the most moving events. We read every single name. The organiser of that was Councillor Noel O'Regan. Noel Brown. I do that. I make a mistake every time. Councillor Noel Brown, come over here.
Thank you, PJ. Good afternoon. Anytime I come here, I'm always struck by the beauty and the peace and the beautiful grounds. And despite the large-scale human rights abuses that took place here across decades. And I remember being at Sean Ross Abbey, the former mother and baby home, and someone said to me, "The building is still beautiful. The grounds are still beautiful despite what happened. It's not the building's fault. It's not the ground's fault. That was someone else's decision." I've attended this commemoration as often as I can over the years, and it's always deeply moving, but I think this year in particular, it is doubly poignant. As you know, we're in the middle of a campaign to stop the development on these sacred lands. We are running an online campaign, despite the fact that clearly none of us are digital natives. We held a protest outside the Dáil, 2 vigils at the gates of Bessboro, including a reading of the names and ages of every child that died. We supported a protest by the students and staff of Larkin Community College outside the Dáil, and hopefully brought this issue fully to the public conscience. At the same time we are doing all this, we are witnessing a long overdue excavation at Tuam. Again, this government has decided to divide an issue that relates to the history of these institutions, an excavation on one sensitive site and planning permission on another. Like Carmel and many others here today, I've been campaigning for many years around the issue of mother and baby homes. I campaign artistically and politically. But I can honestly say this is the hardest campaign emotionally that I've been involved in. I had to question myself constantly and keep a voice in my head telling me, pull yourself together. It's going to be okay. But it isn't the same this time. I'm not telling my own story over and over again to elicit some kind of appropriate legislation that would give me and all the other adoptees equality as Irish citizens. This campaign goes to the heart of the issue. The little lives lost through neglect and cruelty, who were then discarded in unmarked graves right here. Somewhere, those nuns, the Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Mary, who perpetrated these large-scale human rights abuses against mothers and children, are sitting in comfort somewhere, feeling that they did a job well done, and going to their graves with information that would help the mothers and families of these Bessboro infants and children. And the Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Mary are not being held accountable, not being forced to give up records of what happened here. They also ran Castle Pollard and Sean Ross Abbey, where hundreds of burials are also unaccounted for. I got an email recently about a stance I took on another human rights abuse issue, telling me that I was cursed and my people were cursed for 7 generations and the heavens would be pulled down on me, or words to that effect. You know the drill, lots of graphic biblical stuff. I never bought into curses before, but honestly, I took a minute and thought, where could I send this email? Who deserved this email more than I do? And I found myself thinking of the Bessboro Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Mary. And I'm sorry, but I cursed them to hell and back from the bottom of my heart because they never did God's work. They abused their power. They practiced a particular kind of cruelty against women and children when they were at their most vulnerable. When the history of what's happening right now in Bessboro is written, when the history of these institutions is finally being taught in schools, people will question, why did the nation let this happen? We will be judged, and judged harshly, and rightly so. We have no excuse not to fight this now. We don't live in a theocracy built by the Catholic Church to keep us in fear and shame anymore. We have the freedom to fight this issue, to hold the government to account, to hold the Catholic Church to account. So we have a duty, as Catherine Corliss posted on social media. We have a duty because these were Cork people, Cork children who never got a chance to grow up. It's clear that people do care. Look at the numbers here today. The responses we've had on social media have been absolutely incredible. So I'm asking you to contact your public representatives, contact on Commission Glenall, and make your voices heard. Speak from your heart. You've done it once before. On the Repeal the Seal campaign, you raised your voices and you broke the Dáil server. And the government was forced to do a U-turn. If this decision goes against us on July 9th, we're not done fighting. Outside the Dáil, the wonderful Senator Laura Harman, who's here today, mentioned chaining ourselves to the diggers. I'm with her on that. The fight is not one to give up, not one to turn away from. Join us. Raise your voices, not for us. It's not about us. It's about the 923 infants and children and their mothers who never got to live their lives simply because they were born outside of marriage and are not being shown respect even in death. Judging by the numbers here today, you are supportive. So please take action. Help us achieve a CPO investigation excavation because we need your help. A group of incredibly kind people at the gates of Bessboro took the time to read the names of every single child that died here. And I think it's fitting that I finish today with the names of the mothers who died in Bessboro or died shortly after leaving here. Elizabeth Carey, Mary Sheedy, Mary Donovan, Bridget McCarthy, Catherine Kate O'Brien, Eliza Lizzie McCarthy, Bridget Lynch, Christina Leary, Julia Barry, Johanna Keane, Nora Feely, Margaret Mahoney, Ellen Ryan, Josephine Larkin, Vera Connolly, Mary Magner, Mary Cudahy, Mary Neenan, Nellie Glass, Margaret Cooper, Mabel Jessie Huckvale, Elizabeth Susie Hope, Joan Toomey, Louise Bridget O'Leary, Julia O'Donoghue, Anne Walsh, Ellen Mary Nellie Sweetman. So could we have a few moments silence for these mothers? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel Brown. Thank you so much for that. We're going to do some more music now. Camilla Sullivan is back with us for another song. And I promise if the music goes funny this time, she'll sing it a cappella. So let's go.
I don't believe in an interventionist God, but I know, darling, that you do. And if I did, I would kneel down and ask him not to intervene when it came to you. Well, not to touch a hair in your head, to leave you as you are. If he felt he had to direct you, then direct you into my arms. Into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms. And I don't believe in the existence of angels, but looking at you, I wonder if that's true. And if I did, I would summon them together and ask them to watch over you. Well, each to burn a candle for you, to make bright and clear your path, and to walk like Christ with grace and love, and guide you into my arms. Into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Well, I believe in love, and I know that you do too. And I believe in some kind of path that we can walk, just me and you. So keep your candles burning, make the journey bright and pure, and that you'll keep returning always and evermore into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms, oh Lord, into my arms.
Sometimes they're even better without the backing track. You know, that is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Mary Donovan is next. Now, I cannot imagine what it must be like to know that someone belonging to you is here, but to not have the first clue where. I also cannot understand how somebody could be so unspeakably cruel as to leave you hanging on that for most of your life. Maybe to capture a piece of what it feels, Mary Donovan.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Donovan. I'm intergenerational. I'm very emotional today. My mother, the late Mary Margaret Donovan, ní Finn. In 1955, my mother was committed through a court order to a reformatory school in Limerick to be detained under the care of the state and the justice as a parolee from the age of 16 to 21. She entered a psychiatric asylum at the age of 16, where she was raped and was trafficked down here in 1957 on the 4th of February, where my older brother was born in the early hours of the 5th of February at 17. She got to run away with him. She got home with him. And a few weeks later, there was a knock on the door of the family home. A wealthy couple arrived for the baby that was born in Bessboro, but my great-grandmother turned them away. A lot of people don't understand the reformatory for girls. There were 2 reformatory schools in Ireland known as boisterous schools. We're all very familiar with Letterfrack and Dangan for boys, but everyone forgets about the 2 for the girls. And my mother was one of them. Mary Margaret Finn. In 1958, she got pregnant again and was in a psychiatric asylum again. Was trafficked back down here to Bessboro at the age of 19 and gave birth to my twin siblings, Anne Veronica and Vincent Joseph Finn, who were born on the 24th of March, 1959. The state and church annihilated my family. I'm a survivor of the industrial schools myself. I was taken from the family home along with my sister and my brothers and certified and detained into an industrial school until the age of 16. But they extended my order till I was 18. So I spent 17 and a half years of my life in an institution, not knowing anything about my mum's past. In 2015, a year after she died, I know she's guiding me. She's always been guiding me. I looked for her records, and this is how I found out. I did see something in her psychiatric files, but they were calling her schizophrenia, that she was a basket case, she was an unfit mother. She endured thousands and thousands of ECT treatments. She was given the insulin shock therapy, which after I researched, is totally against human rights. A total violation of these women. And these women I'm talking about are the women that were brought in under the reformatory court orders. They were under the care of the state, picked up and trafficked wherever they chose to put them. However, Anne Veronica and Vincent Joseph were born here in Bessboro. They died, and we don't know where they're buried. Last August, I buried my last sibling. I am all alone in the Donovan family. In 2020, during her Magdalene Laundry redress scheme, I fought a hard battle, and I researched her psychiatric records that I got, and I got quite a lot of them actually. She had been in 5 psychiatric asylums, 3 Magdalene Laundries, and Bessboro twice, before she met my father in 1963. However, from being locked up as a 16-year-old little girl because she was pulling her hair out, that's where it all began for her. Institutionalization, medicated until the day she took her last breath in 2014 on the 13th of March. And as I said, I only discovered this in 2020. I contacted St. Finbarr's graveyard. There were no records for the twins. I contacted every kind of graveyard in and around the parameters, and no location for Anne and Veronica and Vincent Joseph. So Olin Ring reached out to me, and through Cork City Council checked 17 graveyards and nothing. I believe as family members, we should have some say, as our mother's no longer with us. And for me, I will be Margaret Mary, Anne Veronica, and Vincent Joseph's voices. To me personally also, if we did find them, which is highly unlikely, we don't know where they are, I would like to have them interred with Mom. She carried them, she gave birth to them, and they should be with her. I don't agree to not disturbing this place. This Holocaust can't stay buried. We need to find them. Stop any development. Look at Tuam. I was up in Tuam last year. They went outside the parameters of that memorial garden. That memorial garden won't be touched for another year and a half. So far, they've found upwards of 80 little white coffins that were buried, where a children's playground was buried over them. Galway County Council, surely they saw these little coffins, but they've continued to cover up Ireland's dark history. This mother and baby home is a crime scene. Who would just toss babies like garbage? Just bury them in unmarked areas, thrown aside. Their mothers and mine gave them life. The church and state hid their history. It is up to all of us here today, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart, to awaken this Holocaust and find the 923 missing burial locations of these babies. Women's names were changed upon entry into this mother and baby home that I know of, and I'm speaking on behalf of Margaret Mary, my mum. In 1957, when she came in the doors of Bessboro, she was called Dorothea. In 1959, she was known as Eva. All human rights taken from these mothers, including mum. They were stripped of their names and identities. They were stripped from their families, stripped from their babies, stripped of all their human rights. We have to reclaim their identities by naming the babies, which you have done, and I, from my heart, I am so much appreciate what you've done. We have to reclaim their identities by naming the babies, the deceased mothers, at every opportunity until this planning permission is overturned. We need to fight for their rights as one. All should unite as one. The more together, the stronger we fight. United we stand, or if divided, we will fall. Stand up and don't give up the fight. We owe to all in this grounds. My deceased family, gone before me, united together. I hope one day to be united together, as I never got the chance to see both of you, Anne Veronica and Vincent Joseph, in this life. To Mammy, Daddy, David, Michael, Anne-Marie, Caroline, Martin, DJ. But today is a remembrance for my twin siblings, Anne Veronica, Vincent Joseph. Keep me strong down here to continue to fight to find your location burial and the other 920 Bessboro babies. I miss you all. I want to especially thank Mary Dunleavy Green and Mara's Patton O'Connell. I don't know if you're aware, but we undertook a 52-day hunger strike and 52 camp night out in Dublin last September for the rights and support and services for industrial and reformatory school survivors. We held our fight. It nearly cost us our lives. We were abandoned for the last 4 weeks, where we almost died. But all you up there, my family and the others gone before us, kept us alive. We need to fight for the rights of all the missing babies. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Mary. There's no words to add to that, is there, really? Thank you. Now, when the permission was granted late last year, people began to ring my radio show and said, what politicians allowed the building of apartments? And the answer is none of them. They had nothing to do with it. It was made upstairs, that decision. And one of the first people on the phone to me to say he would add his weight to any campaign against it is our next speaker and local councillor, Peter Horgan.
Thank you, PJ, and thank you for the work that you do on your radio show over many years, highlighting what happens here. Ard Vera, Lady Mayoress, fellow councillors, members of the Oireachtas who are here. This is a hard day for anyone, but more so for the people who we've just heard from. And I want to thank everyone who's spoken so far for sharing their story with us, for giving us that privilege. I want to thank Coakley O'Neill Planning, who came to me proactively and free of charge to submit the appeal earlier this year when the decision was given by the local authority to grant permission here. One of the first motions I submitted as a councillor when I was elected, and I only grew up 6 pucks of a ball down that way. And my father grew up 3 pucks of a ball down that way. And the spectre of Bessboro looms over this parish of Blackrock, Ballintemple, Ballinlough and Mahon ever since I was a child. I'm 38 years old. We can no longer just sit idly by and allow building to happen here without taking action. And the action that has happened since that original decision has been heartwarming to me, because it shows actually that Cork people do care and they want to stop the building on what Carmel Cantwell has rightly described on a number of occasions as a site of national conscience. And there will be a decision next week on either the 8th of July or the 9th of July. There will be a decision, I've been told by planners, because if there's not a decision, the developer gets €10,000 from Uncommissioned Planala if they're beyond the 9th of July. So there will be a decision next week. And we will have a choice that if we are successful in our appeal, as planning precedent allows, that there will not be building here in this phase, the next step on that day must be to put into action the motion that was passed by Cork City Council unanimously by all parties for the CPO to take place. And that message needs to go not just to government leaders, but to the permanent government in Dublin as well. The civil service, who, in my experience, have frustrated any involvement of a CPO of this site. And if the decision goes against us and the appeal is shot down, well, as my colleague Senator Laura Harman has said at the gates of the Dáil, there's the option of chaining ourselves to gates, but there's also the option of mass pressure to do the right thing. And it's never too late to do the right thing. And I would appeal to the developer, regardless of the decision made next week, do the right thing. Listen to the people who have said that this site should not be built upon. Allow a CPO to take place. Allow it become a public place of a national conscience, of national reflection. And allow, as Mary said, for excavation to happen then in land that is owned by the state, so that we are in control. Because to my dying day, the phraseology in the planning approval that was given in one of the conditions, that you had to hire an investigative anthropologist who knew about juvenile skeletal remains, will haunt me for the rest of my days, that any planning authority could do that. And I want to reiterate what PJ said. No elected member of Cork City Council approved this. Every elected member of Cork City Council sought for a motion to CPO to begin. And we need to ensure that we work cross-party. This isn't about party political issues. It's about banding together as a community to say, no more. We want this site and everything that went with it, the awful stuff that went with it. It must be preserved for the future. I want to thank the committee for all the work they've done and continue to do. And you'll have my support at every step of the way. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Something that comes to mind, it's 11 days now to the 9th of July, and we'll know in 10 or 11 days. I was thinking of the story I told you a little while back about the time they tried to pull down the folly, and good people in Cork City Council and Lord Mayor of the day and others said, no, up with this, we will not put, and it had to get built again. And I'm thinking to myself in there, we drove the bulldozers out once. Let's never let them in again. One of the great things of this little event is it grew from small, nervous beginnings, because we didn't know would it fly. We didn't know first if people would come. Some people came, it's very painful for them to come, and we respect that. Some people were afraid that if they came, they'd be thrown out. Such was their experience of the place. And over the years, it's built up to something like this. And in that time, people have come not just from other parts of Ireland, not just from the United Kingdom, but they have come all the way from America. And today, to tell his experience, Mark Pilkington.
Thank you, PJ. I'd like to thank Carmel, who invited me here. I was born here a little over 67 years ago in 1958, and I was adopted about a year and a half later. This is my fourth time back. I get very emotional and very fluttery every time I come here. I don't have many memories. I do remember, as I told my sister here, just overlapping trees, and I must have been in a carriage walking under them, but that's about all I remember from this place, other than what I've read and heard about. I was adopted, as I said, in 1960. My parents, my adopted parents, it went well for about 10 years. Then my father died of cancer, and my mother kind of spiraled downward into alcoholism, eventually dying another 10 years after that. So back to being alone at 20. I came back here at about 20, I think I was 21 or 22, and the nuns were still here. And I remember distinctly going into the convent to see them. And I got a cup of tea and a big brush off. And they said they had no information, and it was, thank you for stopping by. And so that was the end of that. Fast forward to 14 years ago, I got a call from an intermediary asking me if I was born in Bessboro in 1958. I said yes. Essentially, it was a sister of mine that I didn't know I had. She had done, this was pre-ancestry, pre-everything. She had taken a sabbatical and gone through records and essentially found me. And we met, and we've been close ever since. And then last year, due to Ancestry.com, I found two more sisters. So, and we met in London. They both lived outside of London. I happened to be in London for work, and I met them too. And then later that year, we had a big, quote unquote, family reunion with myself and my three sisters that I never knew I had till very, very recently. So this is kind of an uplifting story, but it doesn't take away from the purpose of today, the uncovering of these 923 babies and the stopping of any building on these grounds. So with that, I'll say thank you all. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the people that are here to support this, and especially you, Carmel. Thank you for inviting me. Take care.
Mark, thank you. And you know, since I got involved in this work many years ago now, and we know my own was set up, and I was involved with other organizations through too, I've heard many stories like that. And Mark, thank you for telling us today. We're about to wrap up. Normally we try to be done by about 3:15. We are on target, and thank you for that. To say we'll see you next year, that's a given. There will be no bulldozers here by then, because with the last, all I've got is a platform, and I will use it. I promise you that. I give you this promise every year. Every year. Not on my watch. Not on my watch will they come in here. We're going to have one more song from Camille before we finish. The organisers have said if anyone would like to go to the Rochestown Park Hotel and join them for a gathering, they're more than welcome. I didn't name the elected representatives that are here. We have to start and go through the whole list, except to thank our Lord Mayor and Lady Mayoress for being with us this afternoon. And can I point out one man? He recently retired after many, many years' service, but he never really retired, and he's here looking great, and he hasn't been well, and I'm delighted to say hello to my old pal, Ted Tynan, Councillor Ted Tynan. Thank you, Ted. And I see many other faces in the crowd. You know what, Laura Harmon? I could actually see you with a padlock at the bottom of the digger, so don't put it past them. As always, it's been a privilege to be here, and we leave you with one more song, which I think she's going to do a cappella. We're going to try this thing again from Camille O'Sullivan.
thank you so much. Just been such an honour to be here with you and to hear such devastating stories and what you went through. So, and this is the words of Noel with a song for all of you. So we might use we'll see how it goes and the Cork's spirit and everything. That's okay. I'd love for it to. I'm still here, yeah. Thank you, PJ. Made a secret person hidden from view. All my sense of who I was invented by you. Cruelty gave you pleasure, power was the drug. Cold and cruel and justified with the work of the Lord. I'm not broken, I'm still here. You couldn't hold me down. I'm not broken, I'm still here. Let's talk about the now. I'm still here. See us for all that we are. I'm still here. Yes, I'm still here. You say he's better off without me and me without him. But would the world just crumble if a mother met her son? We'll all keep on searching, a family never stops. Your mantra is delay, deny until we all die. I'm not broken, I'm still here. You couldn't hold me down. I'm not broken, we're still here. Let's talk about the now. Now is the place that we're starting from. Now is the face of the past. Now is the future for all of us. Now we lift the mask. You blocked and you denied us. Was that for God's love? The only thing you felt for was the power from above. We are only human, existing in this world. But now we gather steadily, a voice for those girls. We're not broken, we're still here. You couldn't hold us down. We're not broken, we're still here. Let's talk about the now. We're still not here. See us for all that we are. We're still here. Yes, we're still here. Well, we're still here. See us for all that we are. We're still here. Yes, we're still here.
Camilla Sullivan, that's special. That was a special song. Thank you so much for that. Now, we have a number of public representatives, we didn't name them all, The organisers would appreciate if we could all gather with the Lord Mayor. They want to do a photograph of all the people that have come today, if that's possible at all. And they're also inviting William O'Toole, Irish veteran, to come and join us. Any of the public reps that are around, if you could come and take part in a photo shoot with the Lord Mayor and Lady Mayor. Very, very grateful to you for doing that and for everyone for being here today. At the sessions at the front gate, when we did the names, I found this, and it's a military poem. I found out afterwards. It's just a poem of memory, and I will leave you with it this afternoon as we stand at their headstone. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. In the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. See you next year.
I'd just like to present the Lady Mayoress.
We do have some flowers to present, so Carmel will do the honours.
I just want to thank all the people who got involved with the artwork here. Amber and Michelle, absolutely fantastic installations. Really appreciate all the hard work, and I really want to thank Camille for really coming here and giving her time. Absolutely
Outstanding.
I'd also like to thank Christy Kerwin and Joy Kelly O'Regan, who have just been absolutely brilliant in helping put this event together. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
We just picked this up off the ground. Just there. A little shoe. Wow.
Is Katrina Toomey still here, please?
Katrina Toomey, you still here, Diane? She's still here?
Will I come up or will I go down to you? I just want to say thank you so much to Katrina. She's been a dear friend of mine personally for over 29 years. She's an icon of Cork, and the work and the time she's committed to Bessboro, writing poems, sharing the petition like everyone else. But her words have touched so many people's hearts, and her kindness, we'd like to sincerely thank you.
I'm so sorry. Oh my God, this faithful PJ Coogan has been with us from the very start. Absolutely. Thank you from the bottom.
It's my honour to be here every year. And just before we go, I don't know where this came from, but someone just found it down there on the ground near where they were sitting. Look at it, Carmel. It's a booty, a child's booty. It looks quite old as well. Maybe they're telling us we're still here.
That's a sign.
That's a sign. That's probably true. It's been found today by someone here with us this afternoon. Just found that child's booty right here at the headstone.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll remember them. See you next year.